I was born to walk through the fire.
Come on!
My mama raised me to be. And if you knew my grandmother,
Come on!
you'd understand why I'm free.
Yeah!
I was born for this mission. I did not need your permission to be who I was born to be.
Yeah! Yeah!
Born to walk through the fire. My mama raised me to be. And if you knew my grandmother, you'd understand why I sing. I was born for this mission. I do not need your permission to be who I was born to be. That's me. That's me.
Woo! Let's get some grandmas up in here. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I am One Divine, founder Ma of the Mothership Alliance, and I've got some powerful women to bring to this stage today. Thank you all for being here this morning. I'm going to turn on comments so I can see everybody who's out there. We got a few on right now. We know we're watching later. You can leave comments later too, and we will see them. But if you leave comments, whether you're coming in from YouTube or Facebook or anywhere, we'll see them all consolidated here and we can answer. I would love to hear where you're coming from on the planet and joining us today. I'm going to kind of Oslo, Norway, right on. It's so nice. I love this. I love that. I love seeing where we are and making this web because we are weavers, and that is what we're here to speak about today. This is a very exciting time. It's a very challenging time, but we all on this call right now are so excited. We're feeling the electric energy of what is coming together, how it is coming together, who is coming together. And it's miracles. I always say I work for the Great Mother. She pays in miracles. Totally true. So I came here to this project the same way that the Mothership Alliance began with its first event. Samara Shaw came to me and said, we want to do a broadcast with the grandmothers for 4/4 in 2020. I had already received the push, the instruction to bring out the Mothership Alliance. I had bought the URL 3 years before, as many of us get nudges to do these things, and maybe even we don't know what the full expression of that will be. I didn't. I knew it was women coming together, but I had also been being guided and trained, I would say, and receiving what I call blueprints and plans and organizational things. I come from a background of online community. I'm going to just mute for a second if you're coming on so we have clear branding, marketing, but also online community. 1994, before Facebook, I was a director of a company called participate.com. It was all bringing together community. Before then, I was always excited by the possibility and potential of what we could do together with the globe all laced up and what they presented. I had a feeling like this could end the world, this could save the world. I was like leaning towards save the world, but and I think I've gone through a myriad of expressions with that. I left it. I said I was never going back to marketing and technology. I've always worked with technology, and I was not going to go back to that and big advertising. And Spirit said, "Oh, you think you learned all that for nothing?" Oh, sweetheart. And I could go do a whole show about how that came back around. but at the time, I was working in technology and branding with Robert Edward Grant. Had just come back from Egypt. The whole world shut down, and Spirit came to me and said, "It's time. It's time." Mother came to me and said, "Gather the family." That was the command. And we started on 4/4 with a 4-hour beautiful, beautiful show of wisdom keepers. Grandmother Sharon Raji Maynard, who is one of the founders of the group, the Global Grandmothers Council Network, was one of those guests. And that's where I met her. And I was like, that's my grandma. We had a private call before that, and we so related. I've worked with her one-on-one. It is my honor and privilege to know her, and she's one of the Mothership Alliance Sacred Elders and Fearless Founders. And one of the things that we do and was guided to do is to gestate, birth, incubate, and catalyze, launch our members, their missions, their wisdom, their product, their whatever, create a safe space for that. And so the Grandmothers Network is one of these projects that is being launched. Unbeknownst to me, the grandmothers kind of came in over the last few weeks when I was clicking it all together, everything that I'd been shown, everything I'd been guided. Mayana came to me and she's like, let me tell you about all the things that we want to do. And I was kind of like, I'm listening, but I already know. They already told me. And it's already like literally, like, we want to be able to sell stuff. And we want to be able to have circles. And we want to be able to, I'm like, yeah, they told me. They're like, get on it, girly. You're that granddaughter that knows how to do that techie stuff. And how do I use my email, right? It's like that. We each get, some get books, some get whatever. But this was what I got and I'm joyfully doing. And I was half raised by my grandmother. I'm a grandma's girl. And I am now of the age where I will probably be a grandmother in a few years. But got a few notches on my belt and grateful to know all of these women. I can't even believe how it's coming together. Not just the blueprints that I am bringing to them, but the blueprints that they are bringing to me through all of their organizational, all of their training, and how it's coming together into this greater plan that I could ever have imagined. So I try to summarize the whole deal about what we're doing, but this is not just a website. It is a portal and a platform. It is a community portal and platform. And this is where I come from 30 years ago of creating these spaces. And I kind of am a MacGyver of, I know what I wanted. I knew all the elements. It's the same as the grandmothers wanted, and it's the same as the mothership wanted. And we've been existing on, white labeled one, then we did Mighty Networks, then we did we've been on this free app, but each one was lacking some of the elements and the ability to organize and scale to the level of which we need to scale to get stuff done. And this year, it was the Dragon New Year Day. It was a Chinese dragon woman I had dinner with, a friend who's from the Bay Area in the tech area, and she started speaking about these people she was talking to have developed this AI assisted platform for groups and communities called Scale Growth. And as soon as she started speaking, I'm like, this is it. This is it, because it's time. And it's completely customizable. I've been working with them since June for the Mothership Alliance to form that. And one of the features of it is that you can make sister networks, which this will be, and you can clone, and you can cross-pollinate. So it's this, how this is dovetailing together, how this is weaving together is so miraculous. And it is a platform in which it is not static. If there are future customizations, configurations that the grandmothers want to do and add, you can do outside links. And then we're pairing that with a Go High level platform for them, which will hold the classes and academies, but also people may have their own in Kajabi or other areas that they can bring in. This is a container to bring the pieces together and for people to be able to find one another. The other feature that it has on it, I'm just going to go through this before I let loose so that you guys have some context for what we're doing here. And then we're going to talk about the pieces that they're bringing and some of the plans and visions. But we're so close. We are so close. And the model in which you can do this with sacred reciprocity and sharing some of what comes in later. This is what we're doing. We're turning things on its ear. Only people who have the money and the branding and the marketing can make it, or funded by a corporation can make it. There is a way if we all put all our pieces together of everything that we know. And it's being shown to us step by step. So this platform, there's basically two parts to it, where they will be able to make unlimited websites, unlimited landing pages, host courses, do automation so that there's not a whole lot of manual thing for answering emails and certain questions. All of these things are going to be possible. It's not all going to be done on day one. The container and the house will be here. It's just like where I'm at in Mount Shasta, California right now, where we're moving in and building as we go. The house is good. We live here. We're holding events and everything, but there's a lot of work to be done. And it will be beautiful as we continue to decorate and add to it. And everybody adds their pieces to it. It's the same. So, whew, I got it out. That was a lot. I just did a monologue in the beginning. Is that helpful? Okay. Let's get this party started, because I always say when spirit comes to me, when the grandmothers are around, I'm like, oh, something big's going down. Something big is going down. When the grandmothers are gathering here and here, it is time. We've had enough. And I'm so excited. I'm going to bring on Mayanna from Peace Production, who I've been working with on this. And I will, at the time is right, I think I figured out how to screen share on here. Okay. And we'll give you a little peek at the platform, a little peek at the early bird membership stage, where we're hoping that some beautiful supporters who have faith, who are going to join us to build the garden, will help us get the last leg that we need in order to have the funding necessary to build the platform out for them to make 1010. Okay, Mayanna, I will unmute you and I will mute me.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be here. And I am in this moment fully overjoyed that we have come to this place on this day. I'm so grateful for each of you who have been hand in hand with me in these moments to turn a Facebook group into an organization, into a woven web of local people on the ground. And that is our vision. It's not even as much about the website, but it's the ability to connect people locally and do work locally on the ground in our communities and do it together across the world. This has been a vision of mine for many, many years. And when I was brought to the grandmothers, I'm like, well, here it is. Of course, grandmothers need to go first, because grandmothers have been the most vulnerable and the least cared for and expected the most from. And my heart and my path, one of my journeys has been to serve my elders. And while I'm old enough to be a grandmother, I am not. And I probably won't be a physical grandmother because my children are choosing to not have children. But that's not the point. That allows me to be in service and to be a grandparent to other children that are needing it, because there are surely plenty of children that need guidance. And some of us, even in our mid 60s, are still needing the guidance. I have been so grateful for walking beside grandmother Sharon and the guidance she's given me personally and her vision for this whole group. And I would love to you turn this to her, and as one of the founders with Suzanne Lewis, to bring her heart into this conversation.
Oh, thank you, my sisters. I loved the music and the drumming that you brought, One Divine. You always find the music. And this grandmother and the wildness and that she encouraged in her granddaughter is not what I got. Because my grandmothers were white. And we were taught to be submissive. And I used to think it was just trauma and therefore we would heal out of it, and that's true. But that isn't the total story. And I think it's important to recognize the bigness of what is happening here and in the world. I started working in 71 with beings off planet, 89 with those in a healing modality. They started to tell me things that turned my world on its head. And one of those things was that women were to lead. I grew up in a patriarchal system. Women were to lead. And that is why, for me, the focus has been on women, because the women in my culture have been asleep. And we didn't know why, but it was important that we were asleep because we had a different assignment. So 2 years ago, I went to the first gathering of Indigenous elders in Nauvoo, Illinois. And I went with a specific message, and the message is still here for this time. And the message connects that old Chinese proverb. Remember the proverb that said, when sleeping women wake, mountains will move. And the Dalai Lama's suggestion that it's Western women that will save the world, out of context. Eons ago, when it was discovered that it was the woman's job to lead, to design, and to discern, and to keep clear the dominating energies, to keep agendas of domination and greed out of our families, out of our cultures, out of our world, they were crushed. We women have been crushed intentionally so that we could not lead, that we would be made small. And eons ago, in a circle I was shown, every woman in that circle took a gift, took it into their family to safeguard it, but make it look innocuous. So alchemy became cooking. We just are cooking, but they knew it was alchemy. We're just drumming, but they knew they were doing magic. Oh, every one of those women became a tribe that guarded their gift. 2 women came forward in that time and said, we go into this problem of why women are being crushed. We go in naked. We go in white, so that we will appear as one of them, so we can be the spies for women to find out what's missing and correct it. And I can tell you personally, the correction has been made, and it is to return the authority voice to women, to put that back in their DNA, to put it back in their chakra center. We have the voice that is now directly connected to the heavens, so we can put our staff in the ground and say, we grandmothers own this space. We are the owners. We are the keepers of our homes and our families and our countries and our cultures. Right here, we own it, because that's been returned to us. And we'll put our sword into the sky because it's so sharp and it's so clear and it's so strong and it's connected to those beings off planet who've been waiting for us to declare the end to parasitic, dominating type agendas, energies. It's energies, and they can remove it. So we waking white women can say we are now awake because that is the key, and it's been restored. So we are awake, and we can join our sisters who have been dancing and crying and wanting and come on board. And we're going like, no, be quiet. We can say, yes, we're with you, and we are giving you the key, because we will be safe in our mission of gathering grandmothers to safeguard all life. Staff in the ground, sword in the sky. We are the owners. We are the keepers. We are no longer asleep. I have never felt the respect of energy of elders ever in my life like I did in that indigenous group. They carry the energy of respect for elders and elders' stories. We can now start bringing all of those precious, guarded, traditional gifts and abilities and knowingness together back as was intended, because the key's been restored. And I'm really grateful to be here with you. This has taken me by total surprise, and it's not coming from Earth alone. Anchored here, needful that your presence is here, absolutely. But this is beyond us. We're up to something big. Hold on. Blessings to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. It is so big. It is cosmic. We are rising hand in hand, eye to eye, heart to heart, walking together, moving together, and commenting together in an artificial place like Facebook and gathering there. And it's just such a clear clarion call to us that now is the time, and we are the ones, and we're not waiting anymore. There is no more waiting. We are moving forward. So One, do you want to take it back?
Yes, I will unmute. Thank you so much, Mariana. I would love you to share about Susan's role and Sandra's role and what you guys are doing. I can't even believe I was saying prayers, because a lot of this was an immaculate conception, and it was supposed to be as it was coming in and not watered down by committee or anything. The initial foundational like structure and blueprint and all of that. But as it was moving toward the Mothership Alliance has been a smaller group, and we have not taken members since equinox of last year. And we too are opening on our platform, but it's grandmothers first. We're doing privately with our small group, while the grandmothers are coming out. And for the last few years, I've been guided to do an event or ceremony or broadcast each year, 10-10 grandmother, 11-11 mother, and then 12-12 out with a bang, daughter, water. It's gone like that the last maybe 3 years. And now I see in retrospect, like it's leading up to this year where we in the physical are now going to gather 10-10 grandmothers, 11-11, the Mothership Alliance will go out. We get grandma first, and we gather. We're bringing some people in that have been waiting to come in and kind of test it. But us testing it while we're doing this over this next month is going to be banging out some of the things and getting the structures and getting the protocols and how we and processes and training materials, so that when the grandmothers are coming, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. We just have to customize it for them and the upholstery they like, right? So again, I'm just like, my mind is completely blown, and it takes a lot to blow my mind. I've seen so much weird stuff. But it like how it's, and I was literally praying, show me who, show me how. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have people that do different things, but they don't do some of the organizational structure and the governance and the councils and all of that. And I couldn't even conceive of how it was going to happen and who was going to come. And I did, I do have faith, or I wouldn't be here. Like, it is taking faith and a little crazy to get to this point. But I could not have conceived, I never can, how this has come together, how Mayanna is gathering the councils and the leadership and the structure and people to do Zooms and people to do local things and offer classes from the get-go when people are coming in the door. And then that's going to help me follow that structure while they're following our structure. It's amazing. So I would love to hear, Mayanna, if you want to introduce Susan or Sandra, I don't know who you want to go next, about their roles. And then I will do a little share screen and show you what I was up all doing all last night, because my motherboard blew last week when I was in the thick of it. Shout out to Saffron Satara. I got the same memo. She said last Saturday that a new motherboard was coming. We're being upgraded. We got a new motherboard. And I'm like, I did. But it was a little bit of a grabber. And I had full, like, angels around me going, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And we were going to do this last Friday. And we both knew, Mayanna and I both knew, as soon as we started talking, she's like, I was kind of stressing about doing it anyway. And we were not going to do it on 9/9 because Mothership was going to launch their stuff. And it was supposed to be today. Today is completion of our mission, completion of our vision, that we are here together, completion of the family coming together to do this at this time. So, wow, I didn't expect to go on that rant. Go ahead, Mayanna, and you want to introduce and share what everyone is doing with and for the grandmothers.
Sure. So in this process, my background and history is in organizational structure and not corporate, but out of the box. How can we do it in a new way? I've always followed and worked with Barbara Marx Hubbard's work and as a futurist, and I believe there are ways that we can integrate all of the aspects of our cultures and come up with new ways of being together. So in calling, I've always known it has to be circles. That's the feminine way. We have to be circles. We have to be councils. There can't be one person at the top in charge. And, that's a challenge when you're the person that's leading the call. But I'm keeping myself at an equal. And I have to say that I am so grateful to Susan and Sandra, because they have stepped up. They have been on almost every single Zoom call, every call for help. They helped grandmother Sharon with the values. They're helping me with the transition. As a team, we created the grandmother's garden and all the categories, the seeds and the flowers that you will see as this website launches, because we wanted to bring forth new ways of being together. And I'm going to turn this over to Sandra first and let her tell a little bit about her experience of coming in here.
Thank you, Mayanna. What a pleasure. What a privilege to be with you all. Thank you, One Divine. Thank you, Grandmother Sharon. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, all of you that I see joining us from all over the world. Blessings to you all. It's very exciting to be called. I think I was just called out of 55,000 people on Facebook that immediately saw the name Global Grandmothers and were called to it. 55,000 in that first couple of months, which is incredible. I don't know, man. How did it happen? I just was there. I have recently retired. I have been an educator for 35 years, maybe, in university and in public high school. And I recently retired. And so now I have time to do what I really want to do, which is be part of this web and to find my place in the web and to connect, be open to the synchronicity of it all. I do believe in all of that. And it's proven to me every day of my life. I am privileged and lucky enough to live in a place where I get to take movies of my gardens outside, my public spaces where I live in Connecticut. And you'll see them on Facebook if you travel there. It's a great pleasure and privilege for me to be walking amongst you. So, for example, last night was my first Zoom. We've been Zooming. Mariana was talking about the local groups, the on-the-ground groups, the actual person-to-person connections that we've had. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I know how to use my phone and market myself and communicate, because that's the other thing that I've been doing all my life is communicating. I'm a performer, an actor, and a playwright. I taught literature, English, and speech and communications. And I went on, and lo and behold, there was one wonderful woman in Kentucky sitting there in her home, surrounded by people in her life coming and going, an adopted family, a chosen family, a grandmother who had chosen to adopt. And she told me her story after chatting a little bit. She told me her story. We meditated, we sat, we joined through this unbelievable machine, this magic of the synchronicity of time and space and being brought together just by our intention, our will, our willingness. And we had almost a full hour of communion, and it brought us both to tears. And I was so moved to be able to listen, to share, to sit, to be with, to support. And that's my mission. I'm supporting Mariana, I'm supporting Susan and Grandmother Sharon and One Divine in our joint vision of raising the consciousness of this planet. I think everybody's catching up to us. I'm seeing it in the media. I'm seeing it in politics. I'm seeing it in culture, that women, once again, and my mother's generation was part of the consciousness raising, the second wave of feminism, but we're moving that further, and we're not going back to a place and time when my grandmother was abused, when my mother was abused, when that kind of grief and trauma couldn't be healed for a long, long time. We are healing each other is what we're doing. And that's what happened last night for me and Ginger across this magical space. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm thrilled to have the time and space and wherewithal to support and to do the work, because it takes not just intention, but boots on the ground work and hoeing and gardening and putting our shoulders to the wheel. And trusting that here and now I have the words to communicate to all of you, and to trust that this will grow. We will grow. I have faith in that. So thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Susan, take it away.
Hi, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, and really, like everyone said, really, really exciting. I felt I guess it was about 3.5 years ago, maybe. I had moved to New York. I'm in New York State, not New York City. And I'm originally from Maine and New Hampshire, and for many years, Vermont. In my past, I was an activist, a writer, and organizer in areas of ecological economics and bioregionalism, and also trying to stop clear cutting in old growth forests in the Pacific Northwest and the tropics. My organization was part of a national coalition on that issue and a couple of others, and that's the past. And then I kind of retired, kind of had to, because I needed to move to take care of my sister after our father had a stroke. I needed to move back to Maine. And that's when I literally put my hands in the dirt and created a beautiful garden and learned about herbs and started making herbal products and eventually natural perfumes. After I moved to New York to be closer to my kids and my grandkids, I would develop the habit of going outside in the evening, especially this time of year, and wrap myself in a blanket and wait for the stars and the bats to come out. And I would just contemplate. And I felt the presence of who I knew were the grandmothers. And they were all around above the tops of the trees. And I could literally see a golden light. And sometimes I would see shapes of faces. And I just accepted that. I've always had that aspect of, I'm kind of always one of those people who believes in magic. And then one evening I got the message that said, "It is time to take your place among us." And I wrote it down, and I actually could find the exact date because it's somewhere in one of my journals. And I knew it was the grandmothers. And at the time, I mean, I was aware of the 13 Indigenous grandmothers at that point, but that isn't what it was about. It was like the grandmothers, past, present, future. It was grandmother energy. It was a web, a literal web of light and energy and love that I would find ways of connecting with and expanding and working with when I was fortunate enough to be able to be centered enough to do that. And then I don't know, about shortly after, I don't know when the Facebook page actually started, but it was, I don't think there weren't 55,000 people on it yet. A friend of mine who happens to be a man, who's known me for many, many, many years and who knows the stories that I've been telling about the grandmothers, said, "You need to check this page out." And so I did, and I joined. And then, I kind of showed up to some of the Zooms, and I knew that I was supposed to be involved. And I thought to myself, I don't know what I'm going to be doing here. I said, but I just got that, well, just keep on showing up and you'll figure it out. And so I guess I'm figuring it out. I feel that this movement of grandmothers, of which we are a major part, we're not the only, but we are a major, major part. It's amazing. It's literally mind-blowing. I actually believe that we will change the world, that we will, depending on what culture you're from, and I'm white, so, indigenous, I'm not indigenous, but I know the prophecy of the seventh fire, and I know the rainbow warrior prophecy, and how it's really up to the grandmothers now that this is our time. Literally, it's not just a metaphor, it's actually reality. And it's not only Earth either, as one divine said. I think it was one divine, or maybe it was Grandmother Sharon. It is the whole cosmos, because we are all part of it. We are all stardust. We all came from the same elements, and we still are made of the same elements. And even though we live in really terrifying times, especially globally, ecologically, and politically, I sense that everything is happening the way it's supposed to. And that when people talk about how devastated the earth is and there isn't any future for humanity and all this stuff, they have no clue. They have no clue of the power and the resilience and the restorative energy of grandmothers, of earth. I mean, it's amazing to think that our science thinks that it can predict what's going to be happening because of climate chaos. We don't know. We can make one change. I don't know what it would be. And the implications of that can be amazing. So, we don't have a clue. What I do know for a fact, without any doubt in my mind, is that this movement of grandmothers is the future. And what we're doing, and I trust this implicitly, is it's happening. And we are going to have this website is going to be more than a website. It's going to develop into a global community with groups and webs and connections every place where we live. And I guess I just want to finish with saying that for myself, I always get tingles and shivers and the hairs go up on the back of my neck when when there's elemental truth being spoken. And that's happened so much for me since I've come in contact with these women and these grandmothers. It's like I'm constantly going around with my hair standing up on end. And it's just really wonderful and exciting. And I'm so grateful to be here.
Wow, all of you. I'm like, okay, two things. Am I going to cry or am I going to get really weird? Okay. Kind of weird. But how this is just coming together. I'm super excited to show you. I'm going to try to do a screen share of what I was up all night finishing up here for the grandmothers, for early bird supporters to be able to help us get to the finish line with the portal development for 1010 and the legacy memberships that they will be able to enjoy. And what else did I want to say? I did want to come full circle again. I didn't really complete. Samara Shaw was the one who initially called me to help her with a grandmother event, which we ended up calling Grandma Live in 2020. She also has been with me since LA when I lived in Los Angeles and had a shop and studio there and came together with a lot of lightworker tribe who I was getting these instructions and trainings, and I thought it was for that time. It was under a different name, and I was meeting with her, oddly enough, in Ojai. I have an Ojai cup, and sharing the plans and blueprints that I was receiving. And she was with a group of people who was getting the same instructions, right? It's a collective consciousness. This wants to be done. So many of us have pieces and have gotten it. But when we met in Ojai, it was like I was getting the digital world version and they were getting the on the ground version with festivals and gatherings. And so we came together in my shop to talk about getting the leaders of these different networks. It was a group of groups, a networks of networks. And then a whole bunch of stuff exploded because it wasn't the time. So it's really interesting. Then it was Samara who came to me a few months ago again and said the grandmothers are looking to gather. They've got this group that's gone bananas. And so I told them about you, and she knows intimately and sees also big picture. And it's so beautiful how these soul family relationships have woven into this and have guided along the way. So I'm going to share with you the page. Go ahead, Sharon.
I just want to say it's really important that we acknowledge those shoulders we have stood on, the hands we are holding, and as we were looking at the organizational piece, in addition to what Mayanna has brought, we also connected with Dawn in the organization called Gather the Women International. And they've been using that very same model or very similar model, and were very generous in sharing with us their experience. So, that's what's so important, I think, about this day. We are being collaborative. We are not being competitive. We are sharing who we're working with, and the shoulders we're standing on, and we are standing on women's shoulders who suffered trauma survival in order to get us here in this moment. So I just want to really acknowledge that also. Thank you, guys. Okay, over to you, Wen.
Thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. And it's also like how people who have been building their parts for decades are now, then those parts are clicking together, and it's happening rapid fire because it is time. And like Susan said, like, we don't know. It could be anything that turns the tide completely, tips it over. And that's the idea. I was always given the vision when this started coming was of I saw a boat metaphor, and I was shown everybody like the big old boat that could turn slowly, was rusted, was sinking, everybody running at the same time to the edge of the boat and tipping that thing over and getting off on ski-doos and little boats and everything, and nobody was going to sink. We're decentralized. If one fell over, we'd pull them onto our little dinghy boat and go, but we would never again be subject to one big vulnerable controlling system, right? So I guess that wanted to come out. Okay, I'm going to show and tell. Okay, first I'm going to show you the page for what will be the next rest of the month. I'll be working on the website itself. They have had a website of their own. Now we're rebranding and putting it on their high-level platform, so they will have automations and be able to do all of these other things. And then that will be conjoined with the portal, the member portal and platform, where all of the interaction events, all of that good stuff, which I'll show you the Mothership Alliance version of it that our current members and new members will be onboarding over the next week. So it's also not complete, but you'll get to see the functions of it. Okay, I'm going to try to share. And the grandmother's garden thing that came in with the grandmothers, they were already on it. Was so perfect. Nods Mayanna in front of the tree. Okay. Share screen. Okay. Okay. So I can't see myself when I'm doing this, but I'm just going to talk while I'm doing it. So here we grow. What? Also, in divine timing, didn't realize it, in this spring, we did a seed activation equinox alchemy container that was opened by Grandmother Flor de Mayo. And the grandmothers, thank you, Susan, for explaining that very well, came through and were like, you didn't really realize what all you were seeding. And this is some of what we were seeing, and it's turning out to be Grandmother's Garden. So this is this is not a whole website. This is a single landing page for this early bird support and legacy memberships. And I will put the URL to that, and you can read all of that yourself. But the growth and opportunity membership, I will read this part, is made available at an extremely low cost or free, made possible through monthly offerings and volunteer service commitments of our members and organizers. Your early bird registration of membership allows you to be first boarded on the new portal on 1010 prior to public access. So these members who are joining and supporting for this to be able to come to completion will also get to go on first and will be helpful and really needed by us to test it out, for us to like knock on any kinks or any like tech blurbs or whatever before the gray tsunami washes in, right? Is that what you're calling it? So some of these, like this seed image, is an image that was generated from the seed activation in equinox, and it sure did activate a seed. And fall we harvest, right? So all of the inclusions, the free memberships include a lot of things. We want everybody to have access to content, to events. They can do them a la carte. There are free classes, free events. They can be part of the directory. They can be part of, we're going to be able to have member mapping, which is something I have wanted the whole time, right? For us to be able to see on a map who is near us. It won't go to your house, don't worry. But it will go to your town. Should you share that. And then everybody will have a really beautiful profile with all of their social links, their website links. There's a robust, customized by the grandmothers, and the mothership is customizing their own areas of interest and service. For us, media is a big piece of it too. If you have any contributions there, so that we can, and the AI assist can assist in matching you to people and content and events that are relevant to you and you're interested in. And it will also make recommendations based on what you are gravitating toward. And we are driving that, not the AI. We are dictating how that acts, how the journey is, and you are dictating it by what you are interested in. And you can always see everything anyway. So there is a reduced cost for annual memberships. That's all that's available to begin right now. Pre-launch is the free seeds. It will come up like a pay thing, but you don't have to pay. But you got to put in your name and your email so that we can let you know how to onboard onto the platform when it's time on 1010. And same for the annual flowers, fruits, and nuts. I love it. I love it. And then once 1010 monthly will be available. But the legacy memberships, these will be enjoying. We're going to make a beautiful legacy member page where you will be featured. There will be legacy leaders for those who had the faith and support to get this party started. And all of these, I won't go through all of the details, but you can see what is available. It's super simple, talks about what we're doing, sprouting it out. I'm going to stop sharing this and then I will. Okay. I will share with you a little behind the scenes of the actual portal and platform. So any of you want to add anything to that before I show the portal? No? You good? Okay. All right. I'm going to try again. Share screen. Okay. This is behind the scenes, still has the tweaking to be done, but this is the Mothership Alliance version. And see where I am, hopefully you can see where I am clicking up at the top. There are other networks. Scale Growth is the name of the developer who did this platform. Co-founder Anna, like grandmother Anna, who also gives me some direction. I thought that was funny. But in this same way that you can see this here, you will be able to see, I will be able to see, because I'll be members of both networks, the Grandmothers Council Network. So I can pop over to a totally different platform and world, totally branded for them, but we are sister networks. And when the mothership launches, we will also launch with a bundle package that will allow you to be members of both networks with separate logins, but then we can also cross-pollinate and coordinate on events that the mothership and the grandmothers are doing together for a bigger heave-ho. And then you can toggle between or other networks, which is really nice. There is a home feed that should be familiar to you, like in Facebook or LinkedIn, where you can see the different, my funny memes, events and posts and all of that. It does not have live functionality yet, but that is not to say that it won't. They are 3 years into their own development, and they're adding stuff every month and more functionality and more features. And there's so many things that we can do custom. It's only limited by budget and imagination. You can have access to recommendations, which there's not a lot in here because it's not populated yet. But there are, it will also make recommendations based on your interests that you fill out in your profile and based on your browsing history and activity. Ask the community, you can ask a question or just make posts. Circles, I'm changing it back to group probably, but there are different groups, and legacy leaders will be able to, where'd all my groups go? Okay. Not sure about that. I had all my groups in here. Yes. Okay. I'm demoing. They might be working on it because I'm meeting with them after this. So I think I took this from the grandmothers group. I just did a couple of test posts in here, but within the groups, you can have access just to the members of that group. There can be group resources, a group chat, and then a forum to talk, and then contact your members and chat and have a conversation with the members just within that group. These can be public and private, same as the other. Marketplace also doesn't have a lot in it, but members with those privileges will be able to post and list new listings, whether they're selling, a piece of art, jewelry, coaching services. There's a variety of things. You just fill it in. A very simple Stripe Connect account, not a whole business account. It's easy peasy, just connects to your bank account, and it's free, is required to participate in the marketplace and sell things, and certain memberships allow for that. Job boards, again, there's an area for posting job board, either looking for a job or jobs that are available. It is our intention to, within the mothership, hire from within the community whenever possible, invest in the community whenever possible, and model this toroidal and regenerative field where we're not taking and putting it out, but we're putting it back in, just like the garden, sowing it back into the soil for new growth. We have resource libraries, and there can be resource libraries within groups, and then a general resource library. In our group, in our app that we're currently on and migrating over to, a lot of times will come up like, oh, you got to read this book, or there's this thing, but it doesn't get saved. And like, what was that? And you want to go back. So there are resources available. Groups can be popped up just for a container, say that's going to be taking place for 6 weeks. And there are materials and there are posts and that sort of thing that can be created, and certain memberships allow for that. the My Connections. Sorry, there's not a lot populated in here for you to show, but shows you can follow people, connect to people, just like you do on follow people or friend people on Facebook. You can curate that in your connections. And then there's different memberships available. We can craft the, I'm going to go out of there. Stop share. Okay. We can craft the user journeys however we want with different memberships, so that maybe they come in and they need to see a video first, or they need to go through a training first, and then they're routed there. That's completely up to us, however we want to customize that. So that'll be very useful as well. And Lenny Brown says, yes, support women's entrepreneurial efforts, including our church. Absolutely. I mean, there are wisdom keepers, incredible grandmothers and mothers who are starving, who are literally like no car and food stamps, and like our network, our coming together can help it. And that's ridiculous. It's inexcusable. And how we can, create from this scholarships, funding. Maybe there's a microloan program. Sometimes it's just $5,000 will change someone's life. It will give them the materials to make their products that they can sell and make more. That's proven to work, particularly with women across the world. We can do that. All of these things are possible, only limited by our effort and our imagination. So we are being guided. We will be guided. We just need the tools to find each other, to organize, to build and grow together. Trying to think if I forgot anything. Does this, David Ferdinand, does this involve censorship?
Okay, David, calm down. Just so this is important, that we are grandmothers listening to the same wisdom, living as our individuals, as in a collective consciousness. We are all receiving the same messages. We're all receiving the same guidance. It's just implemented in each of our lives through our own perspective. And all of the things that Grandmother Sharon and Grandmother Suzanne envisioned in this group are elements that I had received in other ways, in other times. And when we came together, Grandmother Suzanne, I met first when I was invited in May and June. She's in Boise, Idaho, where I was living in Calling Circle before I had a life change. So to have, for me personally, having one divine in Mount Shasta and Suzanne Lewis in Boise, Idaho, and Grandmother Sharon in Washington State, these are all places I have had real deep heart connections with. I raised children in Tacoma, Washington, and in Boise, Idaho. And this whole process is coming up in a way where we can guide one another, hold each other's hands, really deeply listen to each other, really show our own wisdom, our own gifts and talents, and to not be afraid to step up and speak. And this is what those of us here in this call, and there are others who aren't on the call, we're stepping up. And this is what's being asked right now. Step up, step in, bring your gifts and talents, and we'll help direct you into the exact place where your gifts and talents will help us most. And the volunteer application, I'm getting many, many daily, and it's really exciting to have a group of people stepping up. And we are welcoming your voices and welcoming your action. And there's a lot of work to be done. This is an active working project, and we have all kinds of councils that need to form because we have not formed like a global council. We're not stepping into those kind of things until the right people step up to sit in those seats. And those are what are considered the roots and branches of the tree. Grandmother Sharon, you have something to add to that?
I would say that in a female model, there is a leader, and recognized, respected leader, creator, inventor in every chair. And that means not only are we recognizing that there is immense wisdom within this group, immense experience, lots of visions, lots of hopes, lots of possibilities within this group, that the thing that will keep us safe is the return of our discernment and respect for the discernment, the twinkle, the emotionality that says something's awry. And our discernment is the thing that will say something's awry. Let's stop, clear that energy. Staff in the ground, this is our group. This is our mission. This is the presence we hold in the greater plan. And we put our sword into the sky and say, keep us safe. Clear what we feel that is constricting. Clear what is constricting so that we stay focused on what we need to do. So, there's a lot of trauma that we each are bringing, genetic, male, female. There's a lot of injury energy that will make vulnerability. And so it's important for us to know there is going to be times when we'll be very solid as an individual. And there'll be times when we'll be maybe knocked off a little bit and triggered. And that's the time when we become our healer. Time to breathe back, use our tools, ask for help, support each other so that we can be the leader as well as the keeper of this space. So in times past, when women came together, their light began to shine so brightly that is where the energies of dominators, parasitics, said, that's where we will go and take that from them. And women have stayed small for that reason. We no longer have to do that because staff in the ground, this is our space, our life, our group, our mission, soared in the sky. Something here not quite right. We don't know what it is, but we feel it. We call in those beings beyond who can identify the energy. And because we now declare it with authority, they can clear that energy out. The different model we're living in. It's transparent, it's respectful, it's aware, it's discerning. It's a different model.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I'm just going to recap with some that have come up. Thank you all. I'm just in awe. I'm just in awe of you all and all of this and what is possible. Somebody asked, is there censorship involved? I just want to touch on the tech. First of all, we are creating this place because we need a sacred place, and to not underestimate how powerful that is, to have a place that is created by the energy of us all with no outside advertising, interference, controlling algorithms, selling data. We'll have none of that. It's not censorship, it's mothership and grandmothership. It's civility. There will be no tolerance for people being abused. We've had enough. We're not doing it. This is a new model. There is so much available to us. There is so much potential. Somebody asked about, will there be a health component? Of course. Like on ours too, like yoga classes, whatever, who knows? It's big enough. Okay. It only takes a group. You know, one of the biggest private membership associations is AARP. They lobby Congress. They're one of the biggest lobbies to protect elder rights. I've been studying them. The grandmothers had me watch them. Okay. $12 a year, 38 million members. They're able to get their own insurance, glasses, all of these things. It is possible. Group buying power is available. A few thousand can make us able to get discounts on travel, on glasses, on healthcare, on whatever. This is all possible. Corporations are not the only ones able to do this. They would like you to think that. It's not true. They lie. So with that, get a little feisty at the end, you know. Grandmas get feisty. We get feisty. So I'm going to bring us all here together. There we go. There we go. Thank you all. Anybody here on the panel, grandmothers, have any last words before we close out? We are 9-9. We are completing, but we are just beginning.
Yeah, just before we close out today as 9-9, and we are calling it the turning of the nines. That's how it revealed itself. And when those nines come together and they make kind of an eye and start spinning, it becomes a vortex. And we are in the point where we have to really clearly see, each of us individually and as a group, who am I? Where am I? What are the things in my life I am complete with? What are the things in our group we're complete with? And what are we turning towards? Because if we keep looking at what we're complete with, we won't turn to the future. So we are turning toward that future, toward that reality we all feel and know deep in our beings is possible, where children get to grow up and learn how to be human first and how to create their own world. We're here to lay the foundation for those future generations in a new and living way that grows from the ground up and is not forced upon from the top down. We are from the heart out, from the ground up. And I am so thankful to be here with you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Drop the mic. I got nothing else to say on that. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. This will be available for replay if you want to share this same link, either from YouTube or Facebook. I'm also going to embed it on the page that I showed so that you can rewatch it, have any questions answered, and share it with your grandma friends.
Oh, one, are you putting the link to the website in these comments here?
Let's do that right now. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, this should go on all platforms. If it doesn't, let's see, join.globalgrandmotherscouncil.org. And that's available now. We are in deep gratitude for your early bird support that will help us meet the gap to get us to where we're going on 1010 and beyond. So thank you. And there's so much goodness there. Go see what's involved. And we're so excited. Okay. Over and out.